Welcome to Story What Makes a Snake Part 02. But Krakow called a stand-up whenever he felt like it, and sometimes he talked for 40 minutes or more, until even the yoga lovers were falling over. Even worse, it was in the forest, the Synergy Snake's private meeting room. There were cartoons of long grass and snakes painted on the wall, like in a children's hospital, and the air conditioning was broken, making it a sweaty jungle in summer. Sam sighed, grabbed his iced coffee and entered the forest. Unfortunately, he was 5 minutes early, and the only other person there was his line manager, Wendy. "Ah, Sam. Perfect," she said joylessly. "Just the man I wanted to see. We need to touch base later, yeah, have a look at your latest achievements." Won't take 5 minutes. In a few sentences Wendy had displayed all of her worst habits. She spoke in a low, rough voice, presumably because she thought it made people take her more seriously. She used just as many business words as Krakow, and she lied constantly, but none of that bothered Sam. What shocked him was that she was talking directly to him. Usually when one of his colleagues wanted to say something to him, they emailed it, even if they were only one desk over. This could only be bad news. "I'm free after lunch," said Sam, panicking. His diary for the day was completely empty, but he knew Wendy loved to have meetings before, during, and after lunch. "Perfect. Can we do it during lunch? I have a meeting with the sharks this afternoon, and we're going to be drilling down." Even worse. Sam would probably spill food on himself like an idiot, if his anxiety even allowed him to eat. Before he could even reply, Wendy said great and went to bother someone else. Just then Krakow walked in. "Right guys, thank you for coming. Always a pleasure to touch base with you all." Everyone quickly stopped leaning against the wall as Krakow launched into a long speech about how they needed to keep their energy levels up. "Remember guys, you're the Synergy Snakes. SSSS. He also mentioned the meeting with the sharks in the afternoon. We're going to drill down until we find diamonds, and then keep on going. Oh, and I'm touching base with the tigers this morning. So I won't be answering any emails today. If you need anything, just shout at me over lunch." Sam wondered how these people communicated with their families at home. Were their children allowed to talk to them outside of dinner time? Did they read them bedtime stories or just put on a personal development podcast? Did they even have children or pets or friends? Thankfully the meeting only lasted 20 minutes. As people were passing out from the heat, Sam slid back to his computer and put his feet in the ice bath he hid under his desk. And whenever he finished all his work, something uncomfortable happened. People started talking to him. It was like some kind of magic spell. As long as a cloud of business floated around him, he was left alone. But if he actually worked hard, then his colleagues on some level started to realize that they were doing nothing, and more ridiculous tasks were created to punish him. So once that was out of the way, he opened YouTube and started watching cat videos. If anyone asked him what he was doing, he would call it research. Cat makeup is definitely the next big thing. After an hour of that, Sam worked on a report Wendy had sent him. It was on the efficiency of remote working. Except from the tone of Wendy's email, it was clear that he was meant to write about the inefficiency of remote working. So he'd written a long essay about how remote working would cause people to spend too much time with their friends and family, rest well, and, horror of all horrors, show up to meetings in their pajamas. He'd actually finished it a few days ago, but he heard Wendy complaining about the pajamas during the stand-up and made sure to emphasize that part. He sent it off, and a suspiciously short time later Wendy replied with, "Very good. And I totally agree that pajamas kill company culture." Sam yawned and wondered if the meeting later had been linked to the report. Either way, it was great timing to send it in now, remind Wendy how hard he worked just before talking to her. He saw that it was 11, so he got up for his daily cup of tea with Risha in the break room. She was one of the technology tigers, and one of the few people in the company whose brain hadn't melted into business-flavored soup. "I thought you were touching base with Krakow this morning," Sam said, handing Risha her tea. He had his own personal mug from home that he kept hidden in his desk. Once, he'd left his mug in the kitchen and someone had accidentally broken it. "Yes, well, somebody has to fix the coffee machine," said Risha, taking the last chocolate bourbon from a big box of biscuits. Sam knew that she had been here all morning, reading her magazine and working away at the chocolate bourbons. Risha was like a ghost.